I just don't understand that take, and some of the fans that can't clearly understand and have not visually seen the change that this franchise has gone through over the last 3 years. Literally was handed chicken shit and is basically serving up ribeye. I mean, you can't say that's wrong. From what he was handed, he's completely stripped it down, rebuilt it, and appreciate what he's done and what he's doing. I mean, look at the team he's built. This is a resilient freaking ball club. I mean, you can't say we're not winning games that we shouldn't be winning. Almost winning games that we shouldn't be winning, although we probably should have won. Kansas City.
Welcome to Jet Life Stadium. Hit it!
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Randy on the One Jets pod, and I'm joined by my co-host, Brandon Bass. Brandon, how are you, brother?
What's going on, everybody? I'm doing pretty good. Happy it's Friday. Ready to get this weekend rolling. Ready to get into some football. Let's go.
Absolutely. I'm ready to get into some football, too. I hope you guys are all having a great Friday. I know I'm having an all right Friday. I'm having trouble talking. Maybe I'll put that in some bloopers or something, but it's horrible. My goodness. But
good, man.
Real quick, I want to talk about some trade deadline stuff.
Okay.
Now, as everybody knows, we did make a trade. It wasn't a trade deadline move, but it was a trade, Mecole Hardman to the Chiefs. Everybody knows about that. But the deadline, we didn't make any moves other than signing two-time Pro Bowler Roger Saffold, who will actually be on the team's practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably in the next couple of weeks, he'll probably get moved up to the 53-man roster as he gets acclimated to the system. But the one thing I will say is a lot of people were saying, that Joe Douglas wasn't doing anything. He was just, sitting on his hands at the trade deadline. I was like, that couldn't be further from the truth, man. And I know you know that, Brandon. And it came out later on to shut everybody up and prove everybody wrong that he was clearly on the phones, trying to get a receiver in, a freaking, elite receiver in this building. And it just didn't work out for us, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, although go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, you try, and you see what kind of shakes out. Unfortunately, it didn't shake out for us this time around. But hey, we'll see what opportunities exist for us in the off season.
Absolutely, and just like you said, we tried, and it just didn't work out for us.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of going back and forth on Instagram just a little bit ago, with somebody. I'm not gonna shout them out. I'm not gonna put them on blast. If you guys want to go on Instagram and see the conversation, you can. It's there. But to sit there and say that, oh, this guy didn't do anything, it's like, well, he clearly did. The news showed that he did. And the guy sits there and tells me that, oh, it doesn't matter, the efforts or that he tried, that doesn't mean nothing. It's like, wait a minute, you're blaming the guy for not doing anything, but then you're sitting there saying that efforts and trying doesn't mean anything when that's literally the opposite of what you're bitching about. That's how I know people are just bitching to bitch, and this is all based emotion based. It's all emotionally driven.
Yeah, they want the sexy moves. This is not Madden. This is not Madden.
No,
unfortunately, where you can just make whatever trade you want at little to no cost.
Exactly.
One thing we learned about
you can't put the trades automatic.
Right. One thing we learned about Joe Douglas is he's very calculated.
Yep.
And it's with the team in mind, both present and future in mind. So, we get it. We wanted to see some moves. I know both Randy and I wanted to see some moves.
Yeah, sure.
The Ezra Cleveland move, still, I'm a little disappointed with that one. Because I feel like we could have done that. We could have made that type of trade for a guy like that would have really helped our offensive line. But hey, like I said, it didn't work out. We'll see what comes to fruition in the offseason. And we know Joe D is going to be looking at fixing this offensive line as well as some other key areas. But for now, we have what we have. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. We've got to just roll with what we got right now. But I'm glad you touched on the Cleveland trade from the Vikings to the Jags.
Mm-hmm.
Again, shout out to the Batter Jet fans, Bearded Fanatic and Daniel. They made a great point on their show last night about how did the Jags were the only team that were able to go after that guy, and for a 6th-round pick at that. And like I said, they brought this up. Were the Vikings actively shopping this guy? Because
I thought it was a 3rd rounder. 3rd rounder?
I heard 6th-round pick.
Oh, you might be right. I thought it was I thought I saw a 3rd rounder, but
no, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a 6th-round pick. And if that's the case, like,
yeah,
you could have got so much more. And my whole thing is, there's no way if Joe Douglas knew that guy was being shopped, that he wouldn't have swooped in there with a 4th-round pick, maybe even a 3rd, to solidify that deal. Like that's a Joe Douglas move waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Hell, Joe Douglas, the way he traded, he might have been able to get him for all 3 7th-round picks. Come on. So I thought they made a great point, with that. It's like I feel like a lot more other teams, because teams don't just ship out offensive linemen at the trade deadline. Not every team, just a handful of teams have really good offensive line. All the other teams are mediocre to below to below average. So to just be getting rid of guys, like, I feel like that was just a backdoor deal between the Minnesota Vikings and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Seems like it. You're right. It was 2024 6th-round draft pick. Cleveland was a 2nd-round pick by the Vikings in 2020.
Wow.
That's,
that seems like backdoor. And shout out to Batter Jet fans for bringing that up. I thought that was a great point. But it's like I said in our weekly show. Ultimately, I'm glad when they said they were on the trade block, Lawson and Cook. I'm glad we ultimately didn't get rid of them because we need that depth.
We need that depth. Absolutely.
Now, before we move on to the Chargers preview, Brandon, I want to shout out 2 players. One, real quick, Thomas Morstead, AFC Special Teams Player of the Week.
Yep.
Congratulations to him. Hell of a game, man. 11 punts, 4 times pinned the Giants within the 20. Man, we are so blessed to have that guy. I love me some Thomas Morstead. And real quick, when you said earlier in, I think it was this week's show, when you brought up his post-game interview, how he got emotional, I said it in the chat, and I wish I would have said it in this week's show as well, that's not the first time that's happened on camera in a post-game interview. Yeah. Laken Tomlinson also got choked up when talking about his coaches and teammates.
Yep.
So that just further establishes the kind of culture we are building at One Jets Drive, which starts at the top, with Woody Johnson, allowing his guys underneath him to do, and the guys underneath him to do are Joe Douglas, and Joe Douglas lets his guys do, and that's Robert Saleh. I love it. I love it. We finally have structure here in One Jets Drive.
And you got, like you said, like I was saying in our chat, you have culture. Saleh, and even the players in San Fran, when Saleh was there, mentioned how much of a leader and culture builder he is. And we can see it spilling over into the Jets organization.
Yep.
What Joe Douglas and Saleh together have built is a culture that's sustainable and that really respects the players. And the players see it, they appreciate it, and you can see that they'll run through a brick wall.
Absolutely.
For Saleh. They're playing their hearts out for this guy, and so is Saleh perfect? No, but find me a coach that's perfect.
Thank you.
In the NFL right now, you have
and find me a GM that's going to nail every move.
Right. It's just not going to work out that way.
Nope, never
however, for the way that they are playing, you have to give kudos and credit where it's due, and I definitely give that to coaching and the GM for that.
Absolutely. And the final player I want to touch on is the AFC Player of the Month, Quincy frickin' Williams. Man, I'm telling you, dude, I am glad we signed him when we did, because I'll tell you right now, we would not be getting him for that price right now.
Off the scrap heap, man. We got him off the. That's a credit Joe Douglas.
He saw it.
Yeah, the guy picked him up off the scrap heap to play with his brother. And to see him blossom right before our very own eyes.
It's a beautiful thing.
Is truly amazing, and we can see the talent that both of them have as brothers.
Yep.
It's definitely amazing to see. So,
and that goes back to my point. That actually, absolutely, and that goes back to my point about this team finally developing talent. I love it. All right, so now we're officially going to get into our Jets-Chargers preview. So the Jets are at home on prime time. The Jets are 4-3. Chargers are 3-4. The Jets are riding a 3-game win streak, while the Chargers have dropped 2 of their last 4, although they destroyed the Bears last week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we all know I sit here and I give the Chargers a lot of crap, run. I run what's his name? Herbert through the muck and the mud. But I can be a realist. That's still a good football team.
Mm-hmm.
They can score points. Now, I got these here in my notes. They have turned the ball over second least amount of times in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that offense is known for scoring points. Now, granted, got one of the better defenses in the league. Our defense is definitely going to have their hands full this week. What do you see as far as, our defense matching up with their offense? Mostly our secondary with their wide receivers and whatnot.
So I feel like our secondary matches up really well against their receivers. They don't have big Mike Williams anymore.
That's true.
So we don't have to particularly worry about him. But one thing to keep in mind, if we consider Ekeler, he doubles as a receiver or couples as a receiver as well. I think the past week he had 90 receiving yards.
Yep.
So it's going to be really important how we guard him. Probably see a lot of Quincy on Ekeler, and so I'm more concerned about how we cover Ekeler and how we any of the QB runs that we tend to struggle with. So all in all, to answer your question, I think we match up really well against the receivers. It's just a matter of containing Herbert and Ekeler, and I think that would be the key to winning this game. I think our defense is going to show up.
Oh, I think so. I mean, outside of the Dallas game, although I keep saying there's a lot of things that went wrong in that game.
Mm-hmm.
But that was probably the worst game they played. Outside of that, they've been lights out. Speaking of defense, the Chargers are ranked 32nd in pass defense. They've given up almost 300 yards a game, dude. Now, I bring this up because let me throw this out there real quick. Their run defense, though, they're averaging 93 yards a game. I think that's 6th best in the league.
Yeah.
So this is a game where I want to see. Now, granted, rush yards might come at a premium. This is where you start opening things up. You start mixing things up with Breece Hall. Get him in the pass game. Screen passes. Get him in the wide open, dude. This is the game. To be honest with you, Brandon, Zach Wilson should have 300 yards, at least 280.
Yeah,
and at least one touchdown pass. What do you think?
So I agree. The opportunities will definitely be there, but here's the thing. Here's the caveat to that. Will our receivers, not named Garrett Wilson, catch the ball? The drops are really bad. So we have to figure out, Lazard, come on, man, you're tied for second highest drop rate in the NFL.
Yep.
That's no good. So
he was a big money item this offseason too.
Exactly. And if you look at some of the passes that were on the money by Zach this past weekend against the Giants, they were literally right there in his hands and he dropped them.
Yep.
So he needs to be better. I hope he was on that jug machine all week, catching balls and all that, and understanding that he needs to show up for Zach and for the team when the opportunities present themselves. And why not use? I know we've been using Cobb as a third receiver, but we know he's been banged up, so we'll see a lot of Brownlee, maybe a Malik Taylor in there too, as far as our wideouts. but why not use Breece too, like you just mentioned, in the receiving game? Yep. The running game may not be there as much as we would like, considering their defense is pretty stout. With their run defense is pretty stout with Bosa and old boy from the Bears. What's his name? Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But yeah, those two guys have been holding it down on the run defense. But it's that secondary that might suffer. That might be susceptible to some big plays. And then why not Asante Samuel Jr.? Why not see Garrett Wilson catch a touchdown on him? Because his dad was talking. His dad was talking some smack about Sauce in the offseason regarding him not being that good and being So all that talk, obviously he was trying to bump up his son, Asante Samuel Jr. But we know Sauce is that dude,
right?
And so why not Sauce prove that this weekend and maybe get a pick to show him, that he's better than he think he is.
Absolutely.
Than Asante Samuel Sr. thinks he is. But plenty of juice in this game for us to be motivated. We've been playing well in prime time.
Absolutely.
And, I think Monday night will be no different.
Hey, no, I'm with you. I would like to, I don't want to abandon the run. That would just be stupid. I want to see more Jeremy Rucker in the run game. I mean, he's our best run blocking tight end. In the pass game, I want to see more Tyler Conklin. I mean, he's having a year this year, man. Like, get him involved. Real quick before we get out of here, I don't know if you saw this. I think it was on Jets Talk 24/7, and if that's the case, shout out to them. Something about there's maybe a possibility that Corey Davis could come back later in the season.
Oh,
because he's never officially retired.
Is he? I thought he was.
No, they said he's never. They said that he's never officially filed those papers with the league.
Interesting.
So right now it's just a sabbatical, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
Could you imagine him coming back? That was one of Zach Wilson's best targets.
It was.
Oh, could you imagine
when he was on the field? When he was on the field, yeah.
Is it no coincidence that when Corey Davis walked away, that our red zone's efficiency really started suffering? Because that was a big body threat in the red zone for Zach.
He was, and he was a deep threat too. He's a deep threat. He's a deep threat for Zach. He could have got a lot of deep passes. So I don't know, man. Maybe he had some personal things he had to deal with. And I hope all things are okay.
Absolutely.
With him and his situation.
Yep.
But
family and mental health come first.
He'd be a welcome addition if he is able to come back. And again, one of our best blockers. Best wide receiver blocking wide receivers, I should say.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's surely been missed. That's for sure. So as we've did in our predictions, you've got the Jets in this game, and of course, I have a feeling the Jets are going to win. It's the same feeling I had last week, but of course, I picked the Chargers. Just in case. So, but that's our review show. Brandon, again, thanks for coming on here with me, brother. Everybody, thank you for checking us out here on the One Jets Pod. Real quick, again, I want to shout out our new listeners out in Germany and the Dominican Republic. Again, thank you guys so much. And again, thank you everybody for checking out the Joe Douglas rant I posted on YouTube. I mean, you guys put some eyeballs on that thing, so I really, really appreciate that. So again, on behalf of myself and Brandon, we thank you for checking us out here on the One Jets Pod. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure to hit that bell notification. Also, if you're checking us out on the audio platform, thanks for listening to us all the way till the end. And make sure to follow us and give us a 5-star. Absolutely. So, with that being said, we'll see you down the road. Go Jets.
Welcome to Jet Life Stadium. Hit it!